Take two. Good morning and welcome back to Hamilton Hollow Homestead. I am Tanya Hamilton and today we're going to do a little garden tour documenting the 2021 Hamilton Hollow Homestead garden. Today is July 30th. It's Friday. And it's about 8 in the morning. Let's see what we've got here. We've got the big grow bag with some flowers, cane flowers, I think my friend Kathy gave me. Here's my mint planter. So here is the apple mint. And here is the chocolate mint. It smells so good. This is a little herb planter. I did the red basil, a regular sweet basil, some cinnamon basil, some rosemary, some thyme, and back in the middle here is some 2-color or 3-color sage. Pretty variegated sage with some red or pinkish on it. So that's my planters over here. These are my 3 green stock planters that I planted. This is my first time using green stock planters. I bought 3 of them. And this was the first one I planted. It's a bunch of hodgepodge stuff, really. I was just sticking stuff in here. We got a couple jalapenos. So these are jalapeno peppers that are not hot. And I have some pea tomatoes that my friend Kathy gave me. She gave me one little seedling, and I propagated all of this from that. Thank you, Kathy. Waiting for my pea tomatoes. There's another pea tomato down here going with my thyme that I just trimmed back. I'm going to use dill. This is the dill that I planted. I just trimmed all of this back and took it in the house. I'm going to use it for my dill pickles. Here is a little, what is that? That is a sangria watermelon that I put way over there that has come behind this cherry tomato plant that I stuck in here. These ones on this side, this is probably a beefsteak tomato plant. A lot of the plants on this side were ones that were going to die in the greenhouse, so I stuck them into here so they wouldn't die. They haven't died, but they're really too huge for the top of this green stock. So this one I went ahead and just topped off, and I'm gonna let it kind of bush out maybe to get some tomatoes. I've got a couple side shoots coming out, one here and one here, and somehow I'll support those. I don't know how yet. And get some tomatoes off of this. There's some cherry tomatoes. Now this one I planted on purpose, and I'm going to bring this out a little bit because it needs a little bit more room. That all these planters need a little more room. It's very light. It needs watered. This one I planted plants in all of the different levels, the different tiers of the green stock. There's 5 tiers and 6 pockets per tier, so potentially 30 plants, right? So down here I did some zucchini, which I'm going to treat all of my vining plants with baking soda today to treat for this powdery mildew that's showing up on everything. So this one didn't get pollinated very well, so I'm just going to take that little zucchini off. Should have brought my pruners out. Anyway, the first tier, green zucchini. Green zucchinis all the way around. And then the second tier was Brussels sprouts, which is probably too big for this, but you know, it's my first year, I'm experimenting. And a lot of these plants got damaged whenever my sons decided that they were going to spray them with insect repellent for people. So they got attacked that way. And then this third tier is kohlrabi. Kohlrabi. It's a bigger one back here. Kohlrabi. So all these plants got attacked with insect repellent, and then they all got attacked by cabbage lopers, which I had seen them before. I didn't know what they were or how to treat them. Now I do. FYI, it's neem oil if you're an organic gardener. So if you're not an organic gardener, then you have all kinds of things to choose from 7 Dust to, you know, the harsher chemicals. So these first 3 tiers, and later on I had that bout with another bout with powdery mildew, and I did tear a couple of zucchini plants out. I'm probably going to tear this one out too, because it just does not doing well. Needs watered again. These planters need water every day. Rain does not really get to the bottom of them, so I water them every other day, unless it's really hot. So this 4th tier is jalapenos, and the top tier are Hungarian hot wax peppers. Some baby peppers, and I have not pruned or done anything to these plants whatsoever, and I just put them in here so they wouldn't die. And here they are. I'm going to need something to support that. And yeah, got some Hungarian hot wax peppers for sure. Look at that. Beautiful. So, so this green stock planter, I planted the zucchini and the Brussels sprouts and the kohlrabi first, and I kept those for a couple of weeks, and then I added the other 2 tier and stuck in these jalapeno plants and the Hungarian hot wax plants. And everything on the top 2 tiers have been doing very well because they were added after the attacks of the insect repellents and the cabbage lopers. So that was green stock number 2. So green stock number 3, I planted everything from seed. The first tier on the bottom is green beans. These are a seed that I got from Baker Creek, green bean seeds that I put all on this first tier, and some did well, and I don't know what happened over there. It's empty. But the rest of them I think did very well. I put 2 seeds in each, and I didn't thin. I probably should have, but I didn't, and I'm going to see what happens anyway. The second tier is also green beans, but these are the green beans that came with the planter. Those nice people at the green stock planter business company sent seeds with all my orders, and I planted these green beans, and they're just doing fabulous, and I love the purple flowers. They're beautiful. These ones don't have white flowers, so I've got a mix. And these are must be a bush bean because they're for these planters. So I just love how good they're doing. The third tier, these are Kajari melons. Then I put some seeds in here, and on the other side I have some makeshift, DIY. Oh, here it is, DIY trellising for my Kajari melons. What I did is I put a garden stake down there in the middle, and then tied a piece of twine to it and put the garden stake down there, and then the twine connects to just a regular office clip that I had on hand in the office. So I just tied that up, and then I wrapped the vine around the twine itself, and as it gets a little bit bigger, I'll carefully, take this vine and wrap it around that twine to keep it heading up this way. I don't see any melons yet. I see some blossoms. Here's another one. I did the same thing. These were actually the trellising that I took off of the zucchini plants that I tore out, and so I'll have another one shortly. And these ones I didn't trellis, just kind of letting them hang for the time being over the edge. But I'll get something and trellis those up too, hopefully. Trying to kind of keep them in here so they don't get too strained from hanging over that edge. And then more, these are more peppers. These are my Cal Wonder, so these are my yellow bell pepper. And I'm just now, I put these in very, very late too, so I'm just now seeing some blossoms on these. Hopefully I'll get a couple yellow bell peppers. I just did whatever cell block I had and stuck it in there. So there's 3 in here, but so I'll probably, I don't know if I'll be able to move one over to an empty one if I have any empty ones. Nope. I got empty ones and other ones though. These ones have a good thick stalk, so they're good established plants. Good thick trunks on these plants that I like. Okay, so hopefully they'll start getting peppers too. So this is green stalk planter number 3. We've got Baker Creek seed green beans. We've got green stalk planter green beans that they sent me, Kajari melons that I planted from seed, and some golden Cal Wonder that I started inside from seed and then transplanted here. And then that top tier is actually empty. But those are my green stalk planters. Over here we have some strawberries. They took severe damage from the insect repellent attack. And I just trimmed away the last of the dead leaves from that. There's still a couple spots over here on these leaves. But they're recovering. They've been set back though. We'll see how they do next growing season. This is the first year I planted these in these containers from crowns that I got from my friend Kathy, who got them from the Lawrence County Conservation Society. So there's those strawberries. They got a little setback, but they're still growing. It's my pretty clematis. They get purple flowers, but not right now. This is my big patch of oregano. I've cut this back 4 or 5 times and it keeps coming back. This is just coriander, aka cilantro, that just reseeds itself here every year. I planted it here one time and I get more every year and I get more seeds. And back here is just some regular sage. It smells so nice. I cook it with my mushrooms. These chives are garlic chives that my son likes to eat, thank goodness. And then over here is just blank. I had some other stuff here that I tore out, and some construction stuff that I tore out, and I'm putting more dirt in. And then I got these onion chives I'm going to put with my garlic chives. I don't know if you're supposed to plant them together, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, and then I'll fill something. I've got some parsley plant that I'm going to try over here. I thought that might need to be a little bit more shaded. We'll see. This is a hosta that I want to grow and split. There's some daylilies I need to get in the ground, and I think that used to be a wild onion, and I think I killed it. Anyway, and then there is some coriander that I pulled out. I grow it. I let it grow for the pollinators and for the smell, because I love the smell. This is a beautiful planter that I got from my friend Kathy. I bought it at her stand for the Master Gardeners at the Wilmington Fresh Market. And really, I bought the plants just because I wanted the planter. There was thyme and something else in this planter too, but only the mint has survived, of course. And this tomato plant, I did plant potatoes in here, but they succumbed to the insect repellent attack, so they're dead. I did plant this, I think it's a jujube cherry tomato in here, because it was in the greenhouse and struggling, and so I wanted to see if I could have some tomatoes. So I've stuck that in here, and it's got some flowers on it. We'll see what happens with that one. There's some more coriander. Pretty. They smell so good. Okay. A bunch of rocks. Weeds. Pumpkins. Yes, I'm trellising pumpkins. And this is a pumpkin. These are the gold medal pumpkin varieties. I don't remember where I got them. Maybe at an Amish market. That is the big one right there. So I'm liking that one. Looks good. But you can see that the leaves do have the powdery mildew on them. I've been treating them with different solutions every other day. I do from Gary over at the Rusted Garden. Gary at the Rusted Garden gives recipes on his YouTube channel on how to treat the powdery mildew, and I do use his methods, not as faithfully as I should. So today I'm going to be treating these leaves with the I'm going to be treating them with the baking soda solution today to help this powdery mildew. These two plants are zucchini, of course, not pumpkins. I stuck these two little zucchinis. That one's going to go. Doesn't look like it's going to make it. Not pollinated well, but this one, it looks yummy. Going to let it get a little bit bigger. And then over here we have a different pumpkin variety called Fatso. And I don't know if I just didn't get to it in time and these stalks got too rigid, but I was not able to trellis this one. And let's see, we've got a little pumpkin there. And a little pollinator, so good. Okay. And I did, with just like the tomato plants, I went ahead and cut this off here so that it wouldn't grow any further out into the yard. And I'm not trimming off some of these side shoots, and to see if we can get some pumpkins going out this way. But we'll see how that goes. I did trim off, I let like 3 main stems come off of the plant, the original planting back there, and I put a tomato cage upside down on top of it to try to keep it off the ground, keep everything off the ground. But there are three Fatso pumpkin plants on the upper side of the hill. and the 3 gold medal pumpkin plants on the bottom side of the hill, and the 2 zucchini plants in the middle. And then when I cut them off, I looked for fruit at the end, so all of the energy is going to stop right there at that plant. I did that over here too, but apparently that one was not pollinated well, so it rotted. So what I will probably do is go back and cut this main vine even shorter. If I can find another fruit along the vine, I'll stop it there. Oh, here is a fruit, little tiny one, waiting to, there's that little fruit there. So what I'll probably do is I will cut this main branch back here so that that energy will start going over here, and then this side shoot will grow out that way. More powdery mildew. The powdery mildew will slowly make the leaves turn yellow and kill the plant because it will not be able to photosynthesize. So it's a slow process, and there are ways of treating it. In addition to fighting bugs. I don't see any bugs today. So on this side of the garden gate, my new hose and hose stand, love it. There's the watermelons. Yay, watermelon. I have not grown many watermelons, but I have one right there. I counted like 5 or 6 watermelon on these plants. I think we planted 7 watermelon plants in this area just because we thought that a lot of them would not survive. But they seem to be doing really, really well. Got some watermelon plants. Oh, and up here are the cucumbers. And I should have grabbed my pruners. I'm going to set the camera down so I can prune some of these cucumbers. This cucumber is brown, so we want to get rid of that. These leaves had this pest or some kind of crystallized, I don't know what it is, but whenever I sprayed it with the hydrogen peroxide solution, it stopped it. It's still there, but it's not getting bigger. So only 2 cucumbers I'm taking off today, just because I think my husband already got them. So let's move on. Now we're going to go inside, and we're going to look at some spaghetti squash. Oh look, there's a bug. That squash bug. I'm going to get it, throw it in the tank. That's the tank. That is the place where I put all the squash bugs and squash bug eggs that I find. It stinks really bad because squash bugs are related to stink bugs, so they stink really bad. When I find their eggs, I don't even want to squash their eggs because they stink really bad. And I think that's what attracts more of them to my garden. So when I find them, I tear off the leaves. That part of the leaf where the egg is, I just tear it right off and stick it right in that tank. I don't see any eggs now. I see powdery mildew. These are tomato plants, of course. These tomato plants were planted, are from the same variety as those, but those ones were planted sooner. I have one tomato. Well, I guess there's more today. Changing color, getting ripe. But these plants had a case of the blight, and I didn't get out here soon enough. So, and I didn't want to cut all these off and let the tomatoes get sun scorched, so I did leave some of them on there, but I treated the whole thing with the hydrogen peroxide. Apparently some of that is washing off now and the blight's coming back. I'm going to have to get up here and prune and treat it again with the baking soda. Come over here, we've got these are tomatillos. I've never grown tomatillos before, but they seem to be doing really well. I planted 4 plants. One didn't survive. I see a fruit down here. So this is basically 3 plants that I planted actually closer to the wood over here. And they reached back, and I actually tried to trellis one of them back here. And then I just kind of let it go. It seems to be doing fine. I had 2 tomato plants that died right there, so I've got room for them. And then here we have the eggplant. I bought these eggplant plants and put them in the ground and trellised them. And then when I came over here to weed and to take care of them, I found a bee's nest in this hole. I pulled up like some grass and some dirt came up, and there were yellow jackets in there. So I had to wait until we could get rid of those before I could truly tend to these. We got a couple little baby eggplants that I think I'm going to tear these off because they're not growing anymore. And I think it's just adding more stress to the plant. You should really do this with pruners. Of course. Okay, so let's bring some baby eggplants in. The eggplants look good. Well, they will. A couple of them look good. And over here we have the ground cherries that reseeded themselves from last year. Completely open pollinated, of course. but I've already eaten a couple, and they taste the same as last year. And over here, we have a pollinator sleeping on the cantaloupe flower. These are cantaloupe. And I don't see any female fruit yet. Oh, but they smell like cantaloupe. I've never grown cantaloupe before either. Another first time thing for me. They look beautiful. And over here are the pepper plants, the more pepper plants actually. These are the Hungarian hot wax, most of them, but I got them in late and they didn't get watered properly, so some died and I replaced them. These ones, these four, these are Inferno peppers. So this big Inferno pepper, I'm not sure what to do with it because I don't really like hot peppers. And thankfully it's the only one I've gotten. Oh, there's one more back there. And then these ones were jalapenos, so we've got more jalapeno peppers here. And then this batch over here, nothing is planted there except for some basil for the pollinators over there, and then a bunch of weeds grew around it. So basil and weeds. This patch over here is all jalapeno peppers. I'll tell you a story. My husband wanted to do jalapeno mustard again this year because he made some last year and loved it and was really upset when it ran out. So he doesn't want to run out this year. We've already made 4 jars and everybody wants some. So I'm glad that we planted so many jalapeno plants, because it looks like we're going to be making some for other people. So yeah, they look good. We've already harvested enough to make a batch of the jalapeno mustard. So that looks good. And then that's the basil from the other side. Here's more of the Hungarian hot wax peppers. There's some peppers. Yeah. They're growing. And here's some more shots of the spaghetti squash. Big spaghetti squash over there. This is the garlic I planted around Halloween, so we're going to be harvesting it all very soon. And then I'll think of something else to plant here. This is garlic that I planted from seed garlic this is 2 years later. I bought the seed garlic in 2019. We planted it again in 2020. It's all hardneck garlic, so we did get scapes from this garlic that we're still using. This year I ordered softneck garlic so that I could do some braids. So cherry tomatoes reseeded themselves here from last year and are doing very well. Early on I had a problem with some pests, some bugs, but luckily they were, leaf eater egg layers, so I was able to get rid of them with the neem oil and just, paying attention and picking them off individually. They were pretty gross egg layers. Stinky too, but I squashed them anyway. We usually eat these fresh, but also I put them in the dehydrator and make raisins out of them. So if you've watched my other videos, maybe you recognize this space, which is our no-dig garden, which didn't really turn out well. We put the cardboard down on top of the grass, and then we put alpaca composted manure on top of it, but we didn't strain it at all. We didn't take any of the rocks or the wood out, and more importantly, none of the seeds got taken out. So if you're going to do a no-dig garden, you really need to make sure that you have compost, fertile, organic matter on top of your cardboard, and then that way you don't have to worry about seeds growing up from what you're trying to plant. Anyway, we planted brassicas here, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, collard greens, all here, and they got eaten up by cabbage lopers. So if you see that psychotic white butterfly in your garden, get rid of it. And do know that brassicas do not need to be pollinated, so once you have your seedlings in the ground, you can cover them up, and then as long as they get light, they're going to grow. That way, the covering will protect them from the cabbage loper moths that lay the nasty eggs on your plants. Those worms can eat a plant in a day. I'm not kidding. And they're hard to get rid of. Over here, we did, the sun's coming up now, so now you're going to see my shadow a little bit. So here I planted carrots. I did a couple different kinds of carrots, and I actually did the carrots in soil blocks and then planted them here in this rocky soil. So the carrots that we're getting are pretty strangely shaped. See, soil block. So these are the kind of carrots that we're getting. This is a carrot that I planted. I'm not really sure what that is. It looks like a carrot, but I did not plant any white carrots. I'm going to eat this one. Anyway, that is, these are, golden beets that have been in the ground probably too long. Here's the kale that did survive the cabbage loper attack. This is a Swiss chard that I need to harvest too. It's a rainbow chard, so it's all different colors. We've got some red and white and green and yellow, pink chard. It's all delicious. That was some spinach. I got a little bit off of it before it got too hot. And this is my favorite kale. This is my Russian purple kale. It's very sweet. And kale is sweeter when it gets a frost, but this one is always sweet. Love it. Purple kale. Up here in the corn, We have this front row is Baker Creek seed that I got, and I started them indoors, and then we planted them out here at the same time that we planted the corn from seed back there. And I'm not sure about what's going on with some of these corn stalks where the corn seems to be just popping out of the husk like that. I'm not sure what's causing that, but it looks like we do have some corn that might be ready soon. Maybe this weekend we'll get we'll pick some and try it out. There's more of this other corn. My husband is not big on weeding. He says if they don't weed in the field, then there's no reason for us to weed out here, right? Okay, these ones seem to be doing better. It's this is flat and that's on a hill. So this has stayed a little bit drier, I guess. Over there we have raspberry bushes. They're the neighbors' raspberry bushes, but they let us pick them. And then behind those are the blueberry bushes that belong to the people who owned that house, but we don't see them anymore. It's our big water tote. It's empty right now. We just hooked up, well, we can hook up a hose to it. I had this hose hooked up to it. Oh, there should be flowers in there. Got flowers over there. Anyway, this hose is hooked up to the stand and therefore hooked up to the white hose, which has a quick connect to go to the house hose. We have another big water tote over here. Here's that big pumpkin from this angle. More powdery mildew. Not on the top leaves, thank goodness. Well, some. So this is our main water tote that gets filled, and we fill our other water totes off of this. So we have a hose hooked up that goes under here to this pump, transfer pump. So that water goes through there into this hose, and basically I can take it from that roll and take it anywhere in the garden, just like I could use the house to do that one. This one I can use the rain barrel to do it, which I prefer. I can go anywhere in the garden, including pumping rainwater up to that tote. Then we have these 3 rain barrels that we had where the main rain barrel tote is now on that platform. We were using 4. One of them is now in the chicken coop, keeping the chickens watered. And these 3 are going to be part of my drip irrigation as soon as I get that figured out. But that's our garden tour for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Gotta go make breakfast.